Most of us were taught that the renowned explorer Christopher Columbus discovered America. Columbus Day, as we know it, commemorates his audacious journey across the vast Atlantic in 1492. The event that is said to mark a significant turning point in history as it initiated the age of exploration and European colonization in the New World. We were also taught that the first black people to arrive in the Americas were enslaved Africans, who made the journey from West Africa in chains during the times of the transatlantic slave trade. But what if none of these were true? Throughout history, the narrative of Christopher Columbus as the intrepid explorer who discovered the Americas has been ingrained in our collective consciousness. However, a growing body of evidence suggests that this widely accepted historical account is an oversimplification. In fact, there is strong evidence pointing to the fact that Columbus was probably not the first non-Native American to set foot in the Americas. So, if Columbus was not first, then who was? Before we get right into the video, please smash the like button and subscribe to the channel to keep informed of our eye-opening black narrative. In the late 15th century, Europe was gripped by a fervor for exploration. The desire to find new trade routes to the east and the quest for wealth and power fueled the ambitions of many European nations. At the time, the existing routes to Asia were long and perilous, prompting explorers to seek alternative paths to access the valuable resources of the East. Christopher Columbus, an Italian explorer, nurtured a dream of reaching Asia by sailing westward across the Atlantic. Inspired by his own geographical knowledge and theories proposed by various scholars, Columbus believed that the Earth was smaller than commonly believed. He was convinced that by sailing west he could reach the eastern coast of Asia directly, bypassing the established trade routes. His quest to find a direct route to Asia would lead him to the Americas. After a long and arduous voyage on October 12, 1492, Columbus and his crew sighted land, which we now know to be one of the islands in the Bahamas. This momentous event marked the first direct contact between Europe and the Americas. He became known as the man who discovered the New World of the Americas, and Columbus Day is observed on the second Monday in October each year. However, this could not be any farther from the truth. In fact, Columbus was one of the last known explorers to discover America, because Africans had already explored the land hundreds of years before he began his journey. The point is that contrary to what most people believe, the presence of black people in America may not have begun with slavery. However, there exists a belief among some individuals that Africans could not have discovered America before Columbus due to perceived limitations in intelligence and technology. This perspective is rooted in deeply ingrained stereotypes and prejudices that have historically sought to undermine the achievements and capabilities of African civilizations. One reason often cited to support the belief that Africans lacked the capability to explore and navigate the seas is the perceived absence of advanced shipbuilding technology. Detractors argue that African societies did not possess the knowledge or resources to construct seafaring vessels of the magnitude necessary for transatlantic travel. This assumption ignores the rich maritime traditions found in various African regions, including the advanced shipbuilding skills displayed by cultures such as the Phoenicians and Carthaginians, who had significant African influences. Many successful modern attempts have shown that without an oar, rudder, or sail, ancient African boats would certainly have been able to cross the vast ocean in a matter of weeks. One notable example is the Portuguese encounters with African boats known as dugout canoes during the 15th century. These encounters provide valuable insights into the capabilities of African maritime technology. The Portuguese explorer Pacheco Pereira, who traveled along the West African coast in the 15th century, described the large boats as a vessel capable of carrying up to 80 men. Another argument used to support the belief revolves around the perceived absence of navigational and astronomical knowledge among African civilizations. Some claim that Africans lacked the ability to accurately chart their courses using celestial navigation techniques or develop sophisticated navigational instruments. However, this assertion disregards evidence of African society's understanding of celestial bodies, such as the Dogon people's intricate knowledge of the Sirius star system. It also overlooks the sophisticated trade networks that connected African cultures across vast distances, suggesting navigational prowess. In fact, evidence shows that West Africans have sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to the Americas at least 180 years before Christopher Columbus. In particular, let me introduce you to Mansa Abubakar II, king of the ancient kingdom of Mali in West Africa. Mansa Abubakar II, also known as Mansa II, was the Mansa or emperor of the Mali Empire from 1307 to 1311 CE. The Mali Empire, during Abubakar's reign, was at the height of its power and wealth. Situated in West Africa, the empire encompassed vast territories including modern-day Mali, Senegal, Gambia, Guinea, Niger, and parts of Mauritania. Its economic prosperity rested on the immense wealth derived from gold and salt trade, making Mali one of the richest empires of its time. Mansa Abubakar's thirst for knowledge and adventure drove him to explore the uncharted waters of the Atlantic Ocean. In 1311, he sent some of his men with enough provisions to last them years on 200 ships to explore the limits of the ocean. He ordered them to not return until they find what is behind the Atlantic Ocean. It is said that only one ship returned, and when asked what happened, the captain responded, "We traveled for a long time, and there appeared in the open sea a river with a powerful current. The other ships went on ahead, but when they reached that place, they did not return, and no more was seen of them. As for me, I went about it once and did not enter the river." So Abubakar decided to assemble even more ships. He equipped them with food, water, livestock, gold, and other provisions, left the throne to his brother Mansa Musa, and went to explore himself. They apparently never returned, so the question is, did they ever reach the Americas? Looking at evidence that modern historians, archaeologists, and researchers are now bringing to light, the answer appears to be yes. Today we have evidence and sources to support this theory. Leo Weiner, a Hungarian-American historian and linguist, made a significant contribution to our understanding of pre-Columbian contact between Africans and the Americas. His research shed light on the possibility that Africans had reached the Americas before Christopher Columbus, using evidence derived from Columbus's own accounts. According to Leo Weiner in his book entitled Africa and the Discovery of America, Columbus reported in his journal that the Native Americans confirmed black-skinned people had come from the southeast in boats, trading in gold-tipped spears. It appears the Native Americans described the spearheads as guanin, which means gold, in the Mandinka language, a language of the Mali Empire. In his diary and letters, he frequently mentioned the abundance of gold among the natives and their use of gold ornaments. In West Africa, during the time of Columbus, gold was highly valued and held great cultural significance. West African societies, such as the kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, and Songhai, were renowned for their gold production and trading networks. The African rulers and elites adorned themselves with intricate gold jewelry as a symbol of power, wealth, and social status. When Columbus encountered the indigenous peoples of the Americas, he was struck by the presence of gold ornaments worn by individuals within these societies. He noted their use of gold nose rings, earrings, pendants, and other types of jewelry. Columbus's descriptions of these ornaments, along with their similarities to West African gold adornments, provided an intriguing clue to the possibility of African influence or contact. While Columbus himself did not explicitly make the connection between the gold jewelry of the indigenous peoples and that of West Africa, historians and researchers like Leo Weiner drew upon this observation to build their case. They argued that the presence of similar gold ornaments suggested a potential trade network or cultural exchange between African and indigenous American populations prior to Columbus's arrival. Columbus also reported seeing mosque-like buildings when he arrived in America. In fact, the people from the Kingdom of Mali were Muslims, so they may have built mosques while there. While Christopher Columbus's accounts provide valuable insights, they are not the only evidence we have suggesting that Africans had been to the Americas before his voyages. One of the most compelling evidence is the Olmec civilization. The Olmec civilization, which thrived in what is now Mexico around 1200 BCE, holds significant importance in understanding the early societies of the Americas. The Olmecs left behind a rich legacy of art and architecture, including several remarkable artifacts that have sparked speculation about the possibility of African presence in the Americas before Christopher Columbus. The most iconic and enigmatic artifacts associated with the Olmec civilization are the colossal heads. These monumental stone sculptures depict human faces and are characterized by their imposing size, ranging from approximately 5 to 11 feet in height and weighing several tons. The colossal heads showcase intricate details and are believed to represent Olmec rulers or high-ranking individuals. The first Olmec head, Tres Zapote's Colossal Head I, was first discovered by archaeologist Matthew Stirling in 1938. 16 other heads were subsequently found, with one from La Cobata, another from Tres Zapotes, 4 from La Venta, and 10 from San Lorenzo. When examining these colossal heads, some observers have noted certain physical characteristics that bear resemblances to African features. These resemblances include broad noses, prominent lips, distinctive facial structures, and what some interpret as African-like facial expressions. This would suggest that blacks had dwelled in the Americas centuries before Columbus made his voyage. These characteristics cannot be merely brushed aside or reduced to coincidences. However, when it comes to acknowledging the African resemblance in ancient artifacts or historical contexts, there is often a systemic bias that undermines the significance of Africa's contributions to global history. African civilizations, with their rich cultures and accomplishments, have too often been marginalized and overshadowed by Eurocentric narratives. This erasure has perpetuated a distorted view of history, which fails to recognize the interconnectedness and contributions of African people to world civilizations. No matter how European scholars try to twist the truth and rewrite history, the evidence continues to indicate early African influence that predates Columbus's journey. The study of early American religions reveals intriguing similarities between certain aspects of African religions and indigenous beliefs found in the Americas. These parallels indicate the possibility of African influence in the Americas long before the arrival of Columbus. One notable similarity lies in the concept of animism, which is prevalent in both African and indigenous American religions. Animism is the belief that natural objects such as trees, rivers, and animals possess spirits or souls. This worldview emphasizes the interconnectedness of all living beings and the spiritual significance of the natural world. Similar beliefs and practices are found in various African cultures as well as among indigenous groups in the Americas, suggesting a shared understanding of the spiritual realm. Another parallel can be seen in the veneration of ancestors and the practice of ancestral worship. African religions often place great importance on maintaining a connection with deceased ancestors, seeking their guidance and protection. Similarly, many indigenous American cultures have strong ancestral traditions, with rituals and ceremonies dedicated to honoring and communicating with their forebears. This common emphasis on ancestral reverence points to potential cultural exchanges and influences between African and indigenous American societies. Clearly, everything indicates that Africans may have journeyed to America long before Columbus. The evidence, though often overlooked or dismissed, points to the potential presence of Africans in the Americas. From the similarities between early American religions and African religion, personal account from Christopher Columbus, to the presence of Olmec heads with striking similarities to African facial features, we find intriguing parallels that suggest cultural exchanges and influences. It is important to challenge the dominant Eurocentric narratives that have traditionally overshadowed African contributions and shaped our understanding of history. The presence of potential African influence in the Americas challenges the false narrative that Europeans civilized Africa. The notion that Africa was devoid of civilization until the arrival of European colonizers is a distorted and harmful portrayal of African history. The evidence pointing to early African interactions with the Americas demonstrates that Africa had its own rich and sophisticated civilizations long before European contact. Africa's ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptian, Nubian, and Aksumite kingdoms, were centers of intellectual and cultural advancements. These societies developed complex political systems, built monumental structures, and made significant contributions to fields like mathematics, architecture, and medicine. They had vibrant trade networks that extended beyond Africa, connecting them to other parts of the world. In addition, the medieval empires of Songhai, Ghana, Mali, and Benin possessed the capabilities to undertake voyages to the Americas, which disproves the false notion that Africans lacked the necessary shipping technology and navigation systems to explore beyond their own shores. These empires were known for their sophisticated trade networks and maritime expertise, allowing them to navigate vast stretches of the Atlantic Ocean. The Empire of Songhai, for instance, was renowned for its control over the trans-Saharan trade routes. This network facilitated the exchange of goods across great distances, demonstrating their understanding of long-distance trade and navigation. Similarly, the Empire of Mali, under the reign of Mansa Musa, established significant trade links with North Africa the Middle East, and Europe, highlighting their ability to engage in extensive maritime commerce. The Kingdom of Ghana, known for its vast wealth and control over gold trade, had access to both the Sahara Desert and the Atlantic Ocean. This strategic location allowed them to develop seafaring capabilities, potentially enabling them to explore and establish contact with the Americas. All evidence point that Africans were sophisticated enough to attempt discovery of other lands beyond their shores, and history has proven that these voyages have led to amazing discoveries. With all the available evidence, one begins to wonder why there is so little known about the African discovery of the Americas. The problem is that history is written from a Eurocentric perspective. We've been brainwashed to believe that black people have not accomplished anything major in the world, when in fact black people have done extraordinary things from the very beginning. Otherwise, why is none of this taught in school? Why is it that these historical records never made it to history books being used in schools? You can share your thoughts on this in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos to let more people know the truth about blacks and to hear their own part of the narratives. Thanks for watching.